If you are wanting to retire early, but you're not sure of which investments would be the best, stick around until the very end of this video because that's what we're talking about today, so that we can invest our money in the best places and in the best things, so that we can retire early. I am Tiffany Thomas with WealthyTiffany.com, and I am part of the FIRE movement, Financial Independence Retire Early. And I ended up retiring early or becoming financially free at age 38. So if you want to retire early as well, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and we're going to dive right in. When people are looking to retire early, they're wondering what money they can really live off of, because from what they've heard, they won't be able to take money out of their investments until age 59 and a half. So today's video is all about those different investments and what to actually put inside of those investments so that you can retire early and not have to worry about waiting until 59 and a half to retire in order to access all of your money. The first investment I want to talk about has been an absolute game changer for myself, and that is investing in real estate properties. That is the main reason I was able to become financially free at a young age, is because I had chosen to invest in buy and hold real estate properties and start creating cash flow from each of those properties. And if you're thinking, oh, like I can afford real estate, Tiffany, well, I actually created a video that shows you how you can get started for a small amount of money and how it can really build up over time. So I'm going to leave a link above and below in the description, and you can check that out later on. But just sharing a little of my backstory, I ended up purchasing my first property in 2005, so quite a while ago. And I got roommates to help pay the mortgage. And then about 10 years later, I ended up purchasing my second property, which was strictly a rental property, and started creating cash flow from that property, and then ended up purchasing a third property, which I moved into and left my roommates at my previous place and replaced myself there, and got new roommates for my new place and created cash flow from my old place plus my new place, and then ended up purchasing a fourth property, which put me at financial freedom. I really feel like real estate can be a great option if you have any interest at all getting started in real estate. It can really help you get to financial freedom extremely quickly. And since it is real estate, you aren't investing in a certain retirement account, so you can collect that cash flow each month. You don't have to wait for that money to come to you. So that is one really good investment for those that want to retire early. The second investment that I want to talk about is investing in the stock market. And there are a few different ways to do that. So I'm going to talk about different investment accounts that you can set up to help you become financially free at a young age. The first one is setting up a 401k at your 9-to-5 job if they offer an employee match. A lot of companies will offer a certain percentage, a match in the 401k if you are contributing yourself. If that is an option at your employment, I would highly recommend doing that because that's essentially getting free money. They are just matching whatever you are putting in, and sometimes they even go above and beyond that depending on the company. So I would recommend taking advantage of that free money. And if you're thinking, well, okay, Tiffany, but I can't access that until way later and I want to retire early. Yes, I know this. So when you end up quitting that 9-to-5 job, you can take that 401k and switch that over to an IRA, and then you can roll that IRA into a Roth IRA. And I have a video that I created on exactly how to take money from an IRA and put it into a Roth IRA. So I will leave a link above and below in the description, and you can check that out if you have more questions about transferring over from an IRA to a Roth IRA. But once you've done that, once you've taken your 401k money, put it into an IRA, and then switched it over to a Roth IRA, you need to wait a period of 5 years, and then you can start withdrawing any money that you contributed. So not any money that you've earned in interest, but any money that you've put into that account. You can start withdrawing that at any age. You don't need to wait until 59 and a half in order to do that. So that's why I like switching over to a Roth for early retirees. The next option is strictly setting up a Roth IRA. If you don't have access to a 401k, or if your employer is not giving you a company match, then you can just go straight to a Roth IRA. And with a Roth IRA, when you contribute money to that, you've already paid taxes on that. So it grows tax-free in your account, which is really nice when you are ready to pull out all of that money. But if you are setting up a Roth IRA to begin with, then you can access those contributions at any time. You don't have to wait 5 years in order to access those contributions that you've put in. And the Roth IRA yearly limit right now is $6,000. So you might be thinking, well, Tiffany, that's not very much money. And well, yes, that is true. It does add up over time. So if you aren't wanting to access that money within the next year or two, but maybe if you wanted to access that money within 10 years or so, then there would be a significant amount in there. The next investment account that I want to talk about is a health savings account, an HSA. And while this isn't a typical investment account, you can really use it to your advantage, especially if you are retiring early and you are a pretty healthy person. So you can actually invest your money in the stock market inside of an HSA, depending on the HSA provider. Some of them may not offer this service. So if you are looking to invest your HSA money, then look for a provider that does offer investing in the stock market within your HSA. And I personally use Lively, so I will leave a referral link below if you want to sign up for an HSA through Lively. But you can continue to invest this money and leave it in there over time instead of pulling it out to use for your medical expenses. But if you really needed to, you could access that for your medical expenses and it would be tax-free. So this is a really helpful option for early retirees. And if you want more details about an HSA, I created a video for you, so I'll leave a link above and below in the description and you can check that out later. And the last investment account I want to talk about is simply a brokerage account. And this one is awesome for early retirees because you can pull out any amount of money that you want to at any time. And yes, you will pay taxes on this money and you will pay a higher tax rate if you pull out money that you have invested within a year. So you want to make sure and hold your money for at least a year, and that way you will pay less in taxes. But essentially, a brokerage account is a really easy option for investing. You can buy index funds, ETFs, individual stocks, bonds, whatever you want to. And you can continue to watch that grow over time, watch that compound interest, continue to help your money grow over time, or you can pull it out as soon as you want to. There's no limitations with this, and you can have as much as you want in that brokerage account. So if you wanted to keep things really simple, then you could just set up a brokerage account and call it good. But I do like the other investment accounts that we've talked about because of the benefits I mentioned with each of those. And for me, I do have a brokerage account, and I have taken money out of this account before. When I bought my fourth property, I took out money from my brokerage account. I sold some of my individual stocks I had in there and put that toward a down payment on my property. And not only that, I took some money from my Roth IRA that I had contributed and pulled that out as well to put with my down payment. So those two options made it really nice to access that money that had been in the stock market and had been growing over time. Now let's talk about what to put inside of those stock market investment accounts. And if you want to keep it extremely simple, I would recommend investing in index funds or ETFs. I personally like the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund or ETF version because you're diversified enough that you have access to all of the individual stocks that are on the US stock market, but you're only investing in one fund. And it also has a really low expense ratio, so you're paying very little for that investment. And if you're feeling like once you do retire, you want to be a little less risky, then you could add the Vanguard Total Bond Market Fund to your investment. So you could have a little bit still in the Vanguard Total Stock Market Fund, and then add a little bit in the bond fund to help reduce that risk if you are worried about the stock market taking a big dip if you're living off those investments. That is a very, very simple way to invest your money, still make good returns, and be able to reduce your risk a little bit later when you need to. Now, if you want to get a little bit more complicated with your investments, you could add in some individual stocks. And that's what I've done. So I invest in that total stock market fund, plus I have a few different individual stocks. And I would recommend having no more than 10 so that you can keep your eye on those stocks and you can continue to just buy more shares of those stocks anytime that you want to. And if you are curious about why I like the Vanguard Total Stock Market Fund, I created a video with more details, so I'll leave a link above and below in the description. As you can see, there are ways to access your money before the typical retirement age. And if you're thinking, well, that's great, now I know where to put my money and what to invest my money in, but what does that really mean, and how will I know if I have enough money for early retirement? There is something called the 4% rule, so you can take your annual expenses in retirement years and multiply that by the number 25, and that would equal the amount that you would need to have invested in order to retire. For example, if your expenses are $40,000, you multiply 40,000 by the number 25, and that would be $1 million. So you would need $1 million invested in order to retire. And I have a video where I explain this in more detail. So if you really want to dive in and figure out your own financial freedom number and make sure that you are comfortable with that, I will leave a link above and below in the description, and you can check out that video later. Comment below and tell me which investment you are going to get started with. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.